Hey guys, this is Ruben from Dubb's podcast Connection Loop, and I'm here again with Brian Golad. And Brian and I had such a cool conversation just very recently, and it was such a nice podcast edition. And this time we decided to go a little bit deep, actually, into the world of Dubb and how we can use Dubb to do a couple of things. Number one is to monetize a following, an email list. If you're on LinkedIn, if you're in touch with people, how do we figure out ways to provide a lot of value to people, and then also generate revenue as a result of that. And then I think also to just kind of streamline our whole process of saving time, communicating with people, just doing a better job at maximizing the information that we convey to people, and then maybe even minimizing the amount of effort that we have to put in, not because we're lazy, but just because we want to be efficient and focus our time on the best places that we possibly can. So, Brian, I'd love to learn a little bit about what your goals are. Obviously, I love your content, and you and I have been connected for some time now. So I'd love to get your take on all this.
Thank you so much again for having me in such a short period of time. Hi, everybody. So, what I'm interested in is empowering other people. That's what I stand for. That's what I was born to do. I want to help other people. In the last 2 years and a bit on LinkedIn, I've been able to connect with so many professionals across the world and help them get back on their feet and advance in their careers and generate some side income, some serious side income. So, I mean, I am a consultant in technology. I provide consulting to other businesses. And ideally, I'd love to do this full time. I mean, I make really decent uh, salary, and but it's not my own thing, right? I have my own thing that I do it on the side, but I do it with the worst hours of my day when I am tired, right? In the evening, into the morning, uh, maybe neglecting a bit my family, taking time away from them, precious time away from them. My kids are young. I have a 3-year-old princess and a 6-month-old prince. And so, yeah, I'd love to be able to do this. This is what I was born to do. I want to just help more people. So here I'm trusting Ruben that he will shed some light onto my journey moving forward.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's inspirational. I mean, I think that there's so many different ways right now, and even though I think we're in an environment now where it seems like there's a lot of threats and a lot of objections and a lot of friction on our path to success and financial independence, I think that at the same time, with those challenges, I think come certain opportunities and maybe less competitors. Just to sound a little bit overly opportunistic there. But I think really what it comes down to is the thesis and the theme that you always include in every conversation that we've ever had, and then all your content, which is just truly providing value. The challenge is how we put our information in a format that people can understand, that doesn't take us an immense amount of time, that doesn't require a team to produce videos or to produce content or to create books or to distribute those and publish those and spend tons amount of money in advertising to kind of get those out. Obviously you have a massive head start over most people, because you do have a significant LinkedIn following. Last I checked, you've got probably, or I think last you told me you have like 160,000 followers on LinkedIn. And then I think based on what you told me also is that you have about 70,000 newsletter subscribers, people that
Mhm.
have just expressed interest into understanding what your content is and just gaining more. And I think the challenge here, though, I think it really comes down to just creating a flow, creating a funnel. And I think there's a couple of different ways that you can do that, right? So the first strategy, I think there's really two strategies on how to monetize content as a consultant, as a coach. The first is the synchronous environment where you're physically having to meet people. Well, when I say physically, I mean really digitally. In a Zoom environment, in a conference call, in a live call, something like this. And then also the alternate to that is in a purely asynchronous fashion, where you have pre-recorded content. I know that you have a series of 4 extremely high-value videos. I've had a chance to consume some of your content, so I know the value of your content. So that I think is sort of an asynchronous environment where it's pre-recorded, where people go to a landing page. Some of the content is not gated. They have it available for free. I know that you have a 90-minute
Mhm.
video or a 60-minute video on your website, and then that
90
follows
minutes
90
and,
minute, 90
and
minute.
3-hour video as well.
Okay, got it. So that's obviously massive amounts of content and value. And but I think the smartest choice I think is what you've already started to do, which is a hybrid. some synchronous, some asynchronous, right?
Right.
Where you have pre-recorded content that people can consume on their own terms, but then also the ability to add personalized communication with people. And I think you're already doing all of these things. So what I'd like to present is, a couple of ways to kind of sharpen the pencil on that and just to really get the most out of your time. I think that, you mentioned your kids, you mentioned your son and your daughter, and I feel the same way. I have two kids as well. And I think what's amazing about, the asynchronous movement is that we're effectively cloning ourselves. We're taking our content, we're putting it onto channels where people can consume it on their own terms whenever they want to, at whatever time, on whatever device they want to. And then we can just do the things that's important to us, whether that's spending time with our family or whether it's creating more content, creating more value. The last thing that people want us to be doing is to repeating ourselves over and over and over and over again. So that's why I always say this, and I know you do too, that anytime you have value, record it, put it out there, and get people to consume that on their own time. Because otherwise, in my humble opinion, you're not necessarily respecting your time, and you're also not necessarily respecting the time that other people are putting in because you're not investing into newer, fresher content and perspective.
Right.
So what I'll do is I'll kind of share my screen here and sort of guide you on a couple of ideas that I have. Some of these might be appropriate for you, some of these might not be, but I'd love to just sort of present the overall ideas to you. So, the first idea is, as I share my screen here, the first idea is to get yourself a calendar booking page, okay? So when you have a video calendar booking page, what it does is that it really adds the human element to your viewers when they want to come book a time with you. Okay. So this is my calendar booking page. I created this in Dubb. This is a video that I recorded in 15 seconds. And then all that I did was I integrated my calendar directly into this. So this is Calendly. So this is a third-party calendar tool. We integrate with all the major calendar systems. So all you have to do is really just put your username in, and this is going to automatically generate your calendar page.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that you can do is you can put your direct calls to action in there. So let's say that you want to have your calendar booking page, but then you also want to have some other things. On Dubb, you can create all sorts of interesting calls to action so that you can basically create a funnel where it's fully personalized with your video, but then it gives people a choose your own adventure path. So what I'll do is I'll pop over to the calls to action section. And calls to action, just to give you a little bit of context, are ways that you can add buttons or additional sort of things that people can do after watching one of your videos. So, we discussed the calendar option. Another option is like a real-time chat where you can direct people to Messenger, Skype, WhatsApp, drive conversations over there. That's more of a synchronous situation. Another thing is a document. Let's say that you have an ebook. Let's say that you have a PDF. You can say in your video, click the button below to read this ebook, to read this white paper, to check out this some sort of a document that you have, effectively a PDF, a doc, a PowerPoint. That's just going to be a really easy way to have something that you already have existing and then just drive traffic to it. Another thing that you can do is you can get people to email you back. That's kind of straightforward. Yeah. Another thing is a form. So, a lot of people don't know this, but Dubb has forms. So if you add a form to your video, what happens is there will be a form where people can input their information. And this is just a classic sort of gated content where if you want to collect more emails to your newsletter, you have 70,000 email newsletter subscribers, let's get more for you. And the way to do that is to say, hey, listen, my name is Brian, here's some value, fill out the form below and you're gonna get X, Y, and Z. And then when people fill out that form, they have a video, they have an ebook, something awesome.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. Another option is an external form. If you do use some sort of an automation system, I know that you use for your e-commerce. I think don't tell me you don't. It's not Volusion. It's not Shopify. It's Wix or no Squarespace. Squarespace. Boom, got it. Squarespace. So you use Squarespace. So if Squarespace has any type of widgets, you can do that. Phone number, that's straightforward. People can call you if you want that. Products. Now you're a Squarespace user, so every time you have a course for sale, yeah. It's a product.
Yeah, correct.
And if you put your URL right here for that product, what's going to happen is that on the video page, it's going to actually show a thumbnail of your product that you can just directly link to people to. So now imagine this. Imagine if you had a evergreen video that you always used to upsell the product. In this case, it's a course, it's a video. You could record that video, and then you could put the URL of your product, and you could say, hey, click on the link below to check out the product, to check out this course that I have.
Hmm.
And then on that page, of course, it asks for a credit card, it asks for additional details, and then they can gain access to it. Now, I think what's really interesting is what I just mentioned is that that's an evergreen concept where you have a video. What you can also do is if you make this a default CTA by clicking this switch here, what you can do is you can create personalized videos for people. So if you have a high value customers, I mean, as I understand it, your content is extremely high value, it's extremely rich, and it's not cheap. You know,
Very
it's
expensive.
it's
Very.
very expensive. It's for a specific audience, people that want to invest in themselves.
Yeah.
It's $2,500 to $7,000 for a piece of content, which is great. You deserve that. You have that right to content to charge that because of the value that you're providing. So what you can do is, since you're selling at that larger ticket item, what you can do is you can record personalized videos for people. And I'll show you what that looks like in a little bit through Gmail, through LinkedIn. Anytime you get a prospect, watch what happens when you send them a personalized video just for them. Say their name. This video is for you. The response is delightful because when people realize that you recorded that video just for them, what you're doing is creating a parasocial relationship with them. They're getting to know you. It's like they're getting your time directly. And that is basically like what you said in our podcast recording. It's the next best thing to a live in-person meeting,
You know that
right?
I always was concerned about these things because I don't play any games in my personal life or on LinkedIn online. I don't push, I don't chase people, I don't try to convince them. I mean, I told you 1 minute before I joined our call, I had to leave another call. I sold $7,500. But this person, I didn't chase him or anything. I just met him about a week ago, and he joined my webinar yesterday, but I never pushed him or anything. It just happened that he was convinced. Someone else asked me for 15 days. She came back today and she said that she also wants to sign up. The one thing that I don't do is I don't try to be like extra nice to try to get them to convert. I mean, that
Hmm.
would be any good business person would want to do that. But for me, it's like I am the authentic person, most authentic that I am. I am just as nice whether they pay or they don't pay, it doesn't matter. They can still reach out to me if they don't pay and all these things. So I was always concerned about how nice can I be, or am I being perceived, or can I be perceived as trying too hard? I don't want to try too hard. I want to give them the value. I mean, anyone can think anything they want of you anyway, regardless of how hard you try. But I don't want to be perceived as trying too hard because I'm not trying too hard, right? I'm trying too hard to be nice, not to convert them into customers, right? I am just
Yeah.
giving them the space, the time that they need, answer any questions, and if they want to convert, great. I'll be more than pleased to help them. And if they don't want to, then no problem. They're not my neighbor.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to help them anyway.
Well, that's a great point. How to sell, how to be authentic, how to connect with people. I think one of the problems of getting one of those books on how to sell, anything that was created more than a couple of years ago, it doesn't really embrace the idea of, everything has become social. All types of effective selling is social selling now. If you're selling in a closed environment without transparency, there's just a massive amount of wastage of time. The hard close on the phone. Sometimes there's just funny stuff about this, and it's just not scalable. Unless you're selling something that's so massively high ticket item where you're forced to be non-transparent in a private environment. I would argue that it never makes sense to sell in behind closed doors. And because we're open and because we're being transparent, because we're putting ourselves out there, we can never come off as we're trying too hard or we're desperate or we're, that sort of sleazy sales guy stereotype. That's never going to work for us. It's about being a consultant. It's about being more like you know, and just providing value, creating relationships with people. And then if they're interested, they sort of step forward. Some might argue with me on this. Some might say that, sales still needs a nudge and a push and to inspire people. But you can only go so far with that, in
Mm,
my opinion. And, I think a lot of this is about not just about the sale, it's about the relationships and it's
that's
also about the
exactly what I was.
referrals.
Build a relationship, a long-term relationship. Most clients always complain that, oh, once they sold me on something, they disappear. They didn't care
Yeah,
about me anymore, right? That's
right.
what I do. I keep these relationships for as long as I can. I put my part, but of course it's a two-way street. And if they are interested in building a relationship with me, I am definitely interested in developing a relationship with them and see where that takes us. In some cases, it's been amazing friendships. In other cases, it's been, client. They just want a professional relationship, and then that's it. That's where it ends. People put boundaries, right? I am willing to go all the way with every single person, as long as our values are aligned, of course, right?
Right. Yeah. And I think another thing that's a little bit of a paradox or contradiction is that the people that have the most influence are the probably the least likely to buy something because they don't need to buy it. They're probably successful or they've got something or they don't have needs, maybe they have a team underneath them. So if our goal is to always sell people and that we don't want to sell people that have, well, I should say, if we don't spend the time to generate and create those relationships with people that don't want to buy from us, then what we're doing is we're missing out the opportunity to have a social influence.
Yeah.
For example, with you, I'm honored. It's such a great opportunity for me to share this content with you, with your viewers. How what a cool way for us to kind of get the word out about Dubb just by providing some value to you. And obviously, there's no hard sale in here. It's just about information. So
Yeah,
sounds like we're in alignment on that. That's cool.
absolutely.
Yeah, so I'll kind of go back to the screen and I'll show you a couple more options here.
Yeah.
So, as mentioned, take your products, Squarespace, Wix, Volusion, Shopify. This is compatible with all of them. WordPress, it doesn't matter, WooCommerce, it's all good. Another thing is just a generic URL. So that's your website. You can create this URL as a default CTA. and if you are like some of the Dubb users, you can send dozens of videos every single day to your high value prospects. Anyone can create an email newsletter and broadcast a blast out to thousands of people. Anyone can do that. There's software that makes that so easy. You can do it within 10 minutes, right? Dubb has that. Dubb has an email campaign system where you can create a campaign and you can send it both email and SMS. Yeah, so it's a very powerful feature. But I'll tell you this: there's nothing more powerful than personalized communication when it makes sense.
Right.
When you have a list of 100 people, let's say you have a list of 10,000 people. Within that list, there's going to be 100 people in that list that are high value people. In my humble opinion, it makes sense to send those people personalized video messages. And again, I'll show you how to do that
Wow.
on LinkedIn and on Gmail. Maybe for the other, 9,900, maybe for them it makes sense to do an email broadcast, but to really have as much personalization in there as possible, which of course we'll get into in a minute.
Okay.
The next one is a video reply. So I think one of the biggest challenges right now in marketing is to gain social proof, especially for small businesses. Small businesses suffer from this. They have a hard time getting reviews. They have a hard time getting video testimonials. They have a hard time creating case studies with clients that have success with the product. They have a hard time getting that proof, that information, that data. So why is it so hard? I mean, I think there's a couple of reasons for this. Number one is that the second that you ask someone for a testimonial, a review, a video, is that they're now in the spotlight. It's a public situation. It's not just giving you a pat on the back and telling you that, hey, you're awesome. I really appreciate your time and your service. It's now I have to use my reputation. I have to use my name, my likeness, and then put that on the social media, and then whatever comes with that. So it's a little bit of a risk. There's some discomfort that people feel with that. But I would argue that it's more because it just takes time. I mean, we all know that a lot of testimonials, most often, at least what I've seen in my exposure to corporate America, it's the marketing person that writes the testimonial and then sends it to the hotshot C-level exec, CEO, whatever, and says, hey, listen, I kind of wrote this testimonial. Are you cool with it? And then the CEO at that point can either edit it or say, yeah, that looks great, because they're busy, right? We've all seen that, right? And that's cool. I mean, I guess it makes sense as long as everyone's on board. I guess that's just how it works, right? But I think with respect to video, which I think
I,
is the most high value,
wait,
please go ahead.
let me tell you something. Sorry for everybody to laugh. If everybody wants to go to my LinkedIn profile, I am probably the only person who doesn't ask people to revise their recommendations. You will see my name misspelled because in some part of the world it's misspelled. I let it be that way because
Yeah,
I don't want to have any say on how people perceive me. So whenever they send me something, as long as it's good, right? And it doesn't make, I mean, sure, it can potentially make them look bad. I mean, the fact that they couldn't spell my name,
right.
but I am that legit that I allow the recommendations on my public profile to be misspelled. My name, which is the biggest thing that you have, is your identity, right?
Yes.
Letting people misspell my name. Because my name has been misspelled since I immigrated to Canada 16 years ago. It's been misspelled ever since.
It's not a difficult name to spell.
I know.
There's no Y in your name.
No. So, but anyway, if anybody wants to see the recommendations, and now I have 76 recommendations, legit recommendations, I never tell anyone what to write. They ask me what, write it from your heart. Be legit, make it meaningful, and truly represent what our interactions have been. I am not going to tell you what to write. If you need
Yeah.
inspiration, take your time, but I'm not going to tell you what to write. Right?
That's the way it should be, I think. And I think with video specifically, it's sort of an analogy of what you just said is that people, I think, historically with video testimonials, they've always thought that they need to be very produced and they need to be done in a studio and the person needs to have makeup on and they need to have a suit on or whatever it is that's kind of business and corporate. I mean, there's so many reasons why that has now changed, and that's just not the case. I believe that there's a direct proportion between, authenticity and lack of production. The more produced it is, the less authentic it is. Why? There's teleprompters, there's makeup artists, there's coaches, there's, memorization, any type of script that people can do. To do what you just said, which is to speak or write from the heart, I don't think there's anything more valuable than that. And
Right.
that's why we say use the video replay function on Dubb. Use it, use it, use it to get your testimonials.
And
Add this. Yeah, please.
sorry, I'm going to tell you
You're good.
how relevant, how important these testimonials are for anybody who's not collecting them. Um, when prospects come to me, they want to
Yes.
work with me. And sure, I mean, I always say, hi, John, hi, Mary, how are you? What can I help you with? I never know, right? So I always ask, what can I help you with? In some cases, they want my free links to my free resources. I empower everybody that comes my way.
Right.
Cases they want to work with me, but then they realize that my services are quite expensive.
Right.
So when they need time to think and so on, I say, by the way, no rush, no pressure. It's your time. I respect that. If you ever want to see what people say about me, go to my recommendations. And what they say all the time, every single time, is that's where I came from. They
Right.
to me, they want to speak to me because they read every single one of those recommendations. That's how
Awesome.
important they are. You cannot neglect your recommendations. If no one is willing to vouch for you, that means that you don't exist, really.
I love that. I really love that. That makes total sense to me. Um, here's an example of how to get a video reply. So if you were to send a Dubb video to someone, again, through Gmail, through LinkedIn, through the mobile app, SMS, however you want to send it, it could even be a broadcast. All that someone has to do is just click this little button right here. And then that's going to open up the replay option. Now, we do have a virtual background and blur my background in case the person has some dirty laundry behind them or some, goats running around or whoever knows what's going on in someone's world. You can create a virtual background, you can do a blur background. So these are some fun things that kind of can add some production value and make the person feel comfortable. I'm not going to demo these now because I've got so many different webcams right now on my computer that if I click on those, my CPU is just going to melt into oblivion. So I won't do that right now. But I think anyone that's on Dubb has seen Blur My Background or Virtual Background. This is available on all of our desktop recordings, so people will know that. But I think the point, though, to your point, is that capture those authentic video testimonials and then use those in your marketing materials. If you look at the Dubb testimonials, we intentionally did not produce these. We could have easily, sent production or, we're in the video space. We have all the equipment. We know how to do this stuff very well. This is what we do. But we made an active choice to actually not do it. And instead, what we do is, and these will load in a second, but instead, what we did was we made a choice just to make authentic videos that people just record right from their phone, right in their office, and they're just authentic. And what we've seen as a result is that those videos, they get the most traction because they're like, wow, that we have a great video which I'll show in a minute, which is a guy in Adriel who's in his car with the baby seat in the back. And it's such an authentic video because he was just at a Starbucks in the parking lot and he just clicked record and it was one of our favorite testimonials because it was from the heart. So I think video testimonials are extremely powerful. I'll show what some of ours look like. This is sort of a collection. That's the video that I mentioned right here where he's in his car with the car seat. Here's another one where he's just in his office. Marilyn's in front of her bookshelf. So we've collected these. We have dozens of these videos. Very simple, very authentic. People with their little headphone wires. This list goes on, and we've just seen a lot of things with these. Yeah. So we always recommend. Please, guys, have a section on your website for testimonials and put your videos on there. Just start to collect those videos. Go to the top 100 people that you've worked with. Not even 100. Let's just start with 10. Go to the top 10 people that you've worked with, and go get 10 video testimonials. Here's another thing: is that even if that person is absolutely in love with you, even if they had the absolute best experience working with you, it's still going to take a lot of time for them to take time out of their schedule. So ask 3 to 6 times. Follow up. Create a task. Just set a reminder for yourself. We have tasks on Dubb. You can set a little reminder for yourself. And just follow up 3 to 6 times because people are busy, And if they ignore you or if they don't do it, it's not because they don't care. It's because they just forgot about it because they're surviving or thriving or both.
The one thing that happened to me yesterday, maybe you want to provide your advice. So I sent my best friend, I sent him a video testimonial that I got yesterday from someone. He posted it on Vimeo for me to grab and I guess use it, right? So I sent it to my best friend and he's like, how much did you pay this guy? I was like, what are you talking about? I just ran a webinar. This guy went out of his way to send me a video testimonial. You think that it's fake because it's that nice?
Yeah.
Any advice on how to make people not? I mean, I am as authentic as there is. I don't want an ounce of anyone thinking that I am unauthentic. So any advice to prevent anyone, even my best friend, okay? My best friend, the only reason why he believes that I charged $7,500 for 3 videos is because he's my best friend. Otherwise, he would be the most skeptical out there. So any advice for people who are skeptical?
That's a great question. We have some videos that look so imperfect. They look so imperfect, and we intentionally are not editing them. Like, for example, the great thing about social media is that the clips that we watch, the short, pithy clips, we do those all the time. We take these long conversations and we chop them into 60 seconds. And everyone always looks like a genius, because it's just you start right at that perfect moment, you end at that perfect moment. There's some music, there's some dynamism, there's some quick cuts, and that's authentic content. But at the same time, it's meant to be consumed and shared so that people don't. It's meant to be a scroll stopper, thumb stopper, if you will. So one of the things that we do is in our testimonials is that we actually don't edit that stuff out. If the person repeats themselves, if they stutter, if they have to correct themselves, if there's some sort of a mistake, same thing with mistyping your name, we include that in the thing. And I think another thing is that the problem with asking someone to record a testimonial in a long format is that they'll do 20 takes.
Oh.
And they'll do 20 takes, and then they'll be like, that doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound right, And then they'll write it down, and then all of a sudden they're in the script writing world. And now the second that you enter the script writing world, it starts to look like this. They're just reading off. I'm going to read off this monitor here, and it's there's that, but then there's also not speaking from the heart, those dramatic pauses. What I'm going to do right here is I'm just going to share my screen on This is Roberto Monaco, and I'm a huge fan of this guy. He worked for Tony Robbins for I think 4 years. He's delivered 4,500 speeches, live speeches to audiences all over the world, and 3,500 of those was actually with Tony Robbins. So this guy, he's just a massive force. Like he's a power affiliate on Dubb. You know, he this guy it's he could buy a fat ass BMW with his affiliate earnings, you know, every single month. It's awesome what this guy does. He's
Every
so
single month, you're saying.
What's that?
Every single month, he could be buying a fat ass.
Well, I mean, it's a lease payment.
Okay.
It's a lease. He could pay. Anyways, you get the point. He could pay for a lease payment off his affiliate revenue
Wow.
for a pretty amazing BMW.
Wait. Just stop there for a second. What is he promoting about that? The platform itself or something else?
He is promoting Dubb. He gets people to subscribe to Dubb, and they use his affiliate link earn.dubb.com, and they subscribe. And because he has so much influence, and because he's providing so much value to people and teaching people on how they can thrive with their business, and a lot of them, it's not just thrive. Actually, it's survive. Actually, and to pivot their business to now use asynchronous video, because he teaches people how to do that. He just does very well with it. So, you know, shout out to Roberto. But where I'm going with this is that one of the amazing things about having a long conversation that's recorded is that you can mine a testimonial out of it. So I'm going to just play this for a second, just a couple of seconds, and I'm going to show you what a 44-minute video can deliver in terms of a testimonial. I could have easily asked him for a testimonial, and it would have been great because he's a great communicator. But the fact that we actually had this longer form conversation made it more authentic. And then, of course, what we did is we just edited clips out. So I'll just press play. I'm not sure if you can hear the audio. Just give me a thumbs down if you cannot hear the audio. Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna give one more shot for that, and if I fail, then I'll just stop. But I had my headphones in.
Ruben, thank you so much for being here. Before Ruben and I connected, I was using Dubb for many years, and I absolutely love the tool. And I'm gonna get into it. My background as
and you know this video, if you go on and listen to this podcast, he says some really great things about Dubb. And the purpose of this is to sell Dubb or to say all these great things about Dubb. You know, of course we love to hear that. Don't get me wrong. We put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this and to developing our technology. But the point of this is that this is just a fantastic way to mine video testimonials. Here it is. I'll just say this statement just because I know this from experience. Ask those 10 people to send you a 60-second testimonial video, and it'll take you 3 months to get. Ask those people to meet with you for 30 minutes, record the conversation, and then mine the testimonial out of it. Of course, with their permission, they're glad to do this because you're giving them empathy, you're giving them guidance, you're giving them some love. You're not putting them on the spot. You're not making them feel uncomfortable holding some selfie cam in front of them, you know?
How do you break the news that you want to get some testimonials?
Oh, you just ask straight up. We always ask people. Hey, by the way, Brian, after all this, can I have a testimonial?
Oh, I see how
We always ask. We always ask. It's one of the things that we do is we always say, listen, we want to provide as much value as we can, but we're a small business.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have the budget of Salesforce or HubSpot, and your testimonials would be in the world to us. And then, you know, the other thing is that having a testimonial, it adds so much validation to an individual. Like if you right now, for example, if we just go to the Dubb website, you know, all these testimonials that we have, that we sort of mined and aggregated to people. I mean, we kind of put them on a pedestal, you know, and to have that opportunity, whether it's your company logo or whether it's, you know, your name, it just adds validation, you know. So I think we have them somewhere around here, you know. Here's our like testimonial section. You know, when Neil Patel said this, you know, this was on a LinkedIn post I think he did. You know, he was talking about how Dubb is an incredibly useful tool for some businesses that want to have this type of video communication, you know. And we just started to collect all these testimonials, and you know, now we have more than we can place, you know. So we try to sort of circle through these. But I can't stress enough how important these are. You know, some people think that people don't read the testimonials. and some people think that they kind of look inauthentic or just fake or something that's written. And maybe there's some truth to that. We try to add the image. We try to make it a so not so generic testimonial. We never write them. We never write them. We have the people write them for us.
If you have to fake your testimonials, you have a much bigger problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Seriously.
Exactly. Side note, this is another thing that we always recommend to people, which is actually a feature on Dubb. This is called exit intent. And this just organically happened, so I might as well just speak to it. But I was attempting to exit this page, and then it kind of gave me a little bump. Want to see why 20K businesses use Dubb to win. I'm in, no thanks. So, this was very intentional in our writing here. We're trying to show that people use our product. It's not just us trying to sell something. We are validated. There are several businesses out there that are obviously gaining success using this technology. So that's another thing that we recommend. If you want to add that to any page on Dubb, all you have to do is click this switch right here, and then that's going to add an exit intent modal. So, just to give a little bit of a recap here, we've got either an evergreen video of you that's talking about one of your courses, a call to action that's sending people to Squarespace, the link, an exit intent option. So if they decide to bounce, it gives them that additional chance. Some messaging, so you can have some real-time, communication. Maybe another video that you create, which is your, video testimonial mining video, and you just continue to send that to people. Those are just some options for you. We also discuss.
I have so much. Like people are asking me because I am constantly trying to empower them. So I came up with this /empower. So I give them all my resources, whatever they want, they can get it, right? But there's so much out there that I'm wondering how can I get them in an easy way to consume, to get the stuff that they really can benefit from. Because I have a list of so many videos and resources and invites to free group Zoom sessions as well. So anyway, I need to figure out how it is that I am going to be able to truly empower them and give them access to the stuff that they truly need, because I have a lot of stuff to offer.
That's very cool. So I think the key here is figuring out ways I think I started with this idea of creating a video funnel, and I'll sort of revisit that right now, because I think the best thing that you can do is you can have a video funnel for yourself. I think that's the absolute best thing. Right. Let's talk about a couple more things here. Actually, speaking of video funnel, one of the things that I'll do is also just kind of mention email campaigns just for a moment here. Email campaigns here, actually on campaigns, there's two types. There's email and there's SMS. So I don't know if you collect phone numbers. I don't know if you've ever considered doing that, but
I want to. Gary Vee does. So I want to do that too.
Yeah, I think he uses a chat app. I think there's a couple that he's used in the past, but that's just an ability to collect someone's phone number and then just to broadcast a message via SMS and then kind of start a conversation on that. So that's pretty cool. We do what Dubb will allow you to do is to broadcast a video message. So text is cool, but sending a video over to folks with that video landing page with the calls to action and effectively a video funnel is pretty awesome. Side note, the only way to get a response back on a broadcasted SMS is if you use our Twilio integration. So that's a little bit of a technical thing. We've got a lot of support articles on this. If you go to youtube.com/Dubb support, if you just Google that, Twilio Dubb integration, there's going to be some good data on that. If you do use the Amazon integration to send the SMS, there is not going to be a two-way SMS message. So that's just a side note there.
Is that expensive to be able to do that?
No, it's actually very cost effective. One of the things that we do is we don't actually charge. What a lot of companies do is that they sell the sending, the email campaign, the SMTP, and they charge a significant amount of money per person. So we don't actually bill like that. We encourage people to use, set up their own third-party integrations, because they're just going to get better deliverability rates like that. And that if they are not getting good deliverability rates because they have poor email practices, i.e. they spam, it's not our fault. That's on them. They need to do a better job to just maintain, their sort of integrity when it comes to that. So
absolutely.
Yeah, there's a lot of tech on that. Our support channels have a lot of information on that. So, campaigns, you can broadcast an email message. I'd love to hear that you've been working on your email newsletter subscription. let's come up with a video. Let's do a weekly newsletter. This is an example of our newsletter right here. And, this is just a short, 2 minute video. And the way that we create these 2 minute videos is we have a live meeting every single week to our Facebook group. So between all of our channels, we have anywhere from I think it's probably up to 15,000 followers across LinkedIn and everywhere else. And we in those videos that we do, we have a weekly newsletter. Typically they talk about features because people love to hear about that, but it's also some best practices, some tips and tricks, some things that we've learned, content that we've created. And from that long form live video, when we record it, we intentionally know that starting at this point to this point, that's the video that I'm going to trim out that becomes our weekly newsletter. So instead of having to go do multiple versions of it, we sort of go in preemptively knowing that, okay, I'm ready to go. This is my email newsletter. Let me actually show you what that looks like.
Yeah, please.
I know now to unplug my headphones, so. Got some great features that we're super excited to announce. As always, number one is you can automatically generate closed captions on your Dubb videos. So here's an example of how you can actually do that. So on this video info page, you'll notice there's a button at the very top so that you can generate your captions. And then of course you can do that here as well. So that's just a quick example, just a couple of seconds of what our weekly newsletter looks like. We encourage people to do the same thing. Every single week, just record a video. It's all about multi-purposing. I know that you're a big fan of that. If you create a video to put on your YouTube channel, to put on YouTube, to put on LinkedIn, to put on Twitter, to put on Instagram, to put on all your channels, use that same video for your email newsletter. That's the quickest way to do it. Now, I think a slight, subtle, better practice here is that if you are going to be on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, we recommend 9:16, which is holding your phone upright. But if you're on YouTube, also LinkedIn, maybe an email newsletter, then we recommend just having the phone sideways. There's no hard and fast rule on that. You can use the same size on any channel. But sometimes, definitely on YouTube, a 9:16 video on YouTube is not going to be the most ideal size. Of course, it's possible. It's just going to be black on both sides. That's fine too. But I think the point, though, is that come up with that weekly email newsletter of your best content. Whatever value you have, and that's your weekly newsletter. You can speak to people. You can be like, hey guys, listen, this is this week's newsletter. We're going to be talking about X, Y, and Z. I'm so psyched to have you guys part of this, and click on the link below if you want more information. So email newsletter, and then use Dubb to send that out.
Would you use a square video, aspect ratio 1:1 or not?
I like square videos. Yeah, they're not the easiest things to record. I think on my iPhone to make one, I would have to use the Dubb mobile app because we have square on that. Also, Apple Clips, I think I would use. I don't think the native camera is going to allow me to do a square video. Last I checked.
You can do, as far as I know, you can do a video and then you can
trim it. Yeah.
And you can edit the aspect ratio after.
Yeah. So that takes time. I have to say that the Dubb mobile app is the easiest place to do this. Open up the Dubb mobile app, record your video. If you like square, select square. It takes a little bit more processing time because it's not what the camera natively records in. But just 16:9 is going to be your best bet. Record the video directly in the Dubb mobile app, and within seconds, it'll show up in your Dubb dashboard. Okay. And then, so here's kind of the workflow here. How to send an email newsletter in 60 seconds, okay, to 70,000 people. Okay, that's very possible, okay? So the first thing you want to do is to go to the Dubb mobile app, record your video. Or actually, I should say upload something that you already have. You've already recorded a video, just upload that to the Dubb mobile app. Within a couple of seconds, it's going to upload to the cloud. It'll appear right here. Go to your email campaign feature right here, clone a campaign that you've already whipped up, clone that, and then change the subject line, change 3 sentences that you've written in the copy, and click send. Do some QA, don't screw up because you can't undo an email, but it's very easy to do. And we learned that through actually failing for months because we used to do so much production in our email newsletters, and sometimes we would just miss them. And then we realized that if we don't just get good content out there on a weekly basis, put a couple of lines of copy, a really good subject line, and just click the send button, that it just ends up getting not done.
Right.
And there was months that went by where we didn't do it, and we realized that that was just a lost opportunity. So we don't do that anymore. So that was a lot of information. I mean, I could go on and on here. I mean, the other thing that I'd love to talk about is the idea of automation. And automation is definitely an advanced feature on Dubb. And what this is going to allow you to do is, if you do have that email newsletter list, it's one thing to broadcast an email message. It's another thing to create a video email drip sequence. So now imagine pre-recording 6 videos for them. Okay, because typically what happens, and you know this in sales and marketing, is that nothing happens on the first touch point. I mean, what happens really is the early adopters come, but early adopters are only 5 to 10% of our audience. The other people need nudges. They need more information, more value, and the way to do that is to do an email drip sequence or even an SMS drip sequence. So with Dubb, what you can do is you can actually create an automated workflow. You can actually build an automated workflow that triggers off and that sends an email, an SMS, based on some of the things that you can do. You can add tags to the contact information. You can get notifications. If someone watches a video, you can see that. You can add a tag to their contact. You can create an if-then branch. You can create a task. If you want to follow up with them. Let's say that you send a video to someone, they watch it, they click on the call to action. That's a perfect thing to create a task with. Follow up with XYZ person because they're a high ticket buyer and that you want to provide more value to them.
That's amazing. I
Yeah.
myself using this every day.
Yeah, man. So, we love to get people, actively using this. Again, this is an advanced feature. I'd say grow into this, start small. Just do one-to-one videos. The thing that I'll kind of finalize on is our Gmail integration and our LinkedIn integration. And I think you've seen both of those. So I'll just take a minute or 3 to kind of to load that up in the browser. But I'd love to answer some questions while that's loading.
Yeah, from me?
Yeah.
I love it. This is amazing. I want to do this. I can see how it will help me understand my audience and whether they are into the things that I'm sending them or not. Just to be completely transparent, I've only sent them 2 emails. I've collected these 70,000 email addresses in like 1 week back at the end of January. But I never sent them more than 2 emails. I sent them an email back then, maybe like several months ago. And then I sent them an email last week. But my email list is frozen, more than Elsa from Frozen. I'm not kidding you. Like it's frozen. Like I've never done anything with them, so I cannot expect them to open my emails. I probably even forgot who I am, but they all got value to begin with from me, the free ATS resume template. So now I have to build myself up on my email list. So probably my upcoming webinar is going to be how I teach people to revive their email list. Because mine, 70,000 emails for what? If only 10% or 20% are opening the emails, what's the point, right? So anyway, I now have to unthaw my email list because it's not cold, it's completely frozen, So we'll see
Got it.
where I take it. But there's always room for another webinar on this.
Yeah, that's cool. This is a quick way, speaking of your webinar and your email newsletter, this is a quick way to do it right here. You can go to this is Gmail. If you just go to your Gmail, assuming that you have the Dubb Chrome extension installed, then you're going to get an integration into Gmail. You click this button, and then this is going to access your whole Dubb library. So these are some videos. This is a podcast that I did. Here's a couple of videos that I recorded recently. Screen recordings using the Dubb Chrome extension. Entire desktop recordings using the desktop app. This is a mobile video. There's uploaded videos here. So every video that you could imagine, here's me taking a video while I was sleeping, actually. What Roberto talks about is that he'll take his dog on a walk and he'll record a video then. And those are the videos that drive the most revenue for him. Wow. So get comfortable recording your videos. And then once you do that, you can just quickly add some personalization text here. And then insert the video, and then that's going to create an automated, 3-second animated GIF, and then that's gonna drive people to the video landing page that is automatically created. So there's no drag and drop. This is just automatically created every time that a video is done. Here's some personalization text here. And then, of course, we're driving for my calls to action, which is get a free account on Dubb and then become a Dubb affiliate, of course. So there's our exit intent. So that's kind of use case one, is sending a video via Gmail. This is all within the realm of personalized one-to-one video communication, which I think is a great place to start. And then I think, as mentioned before, I think it's good to kind of graduate to, campaigns, automation, SMS. Let's get there later. And then the last thing that I'll show you actually is how you and I booked our first podcast recording, which is through the Dubb LinkedIn integration. And now I'm in LinkedIn, I'm in messaging. I click on this right here, and that's going to open up my whole window. And then once again, I can select one of these videos quickly. I can add some personalization text. If I want to get contact level user reporting, like if I want to know that Brian Golad specifically watched 36% or 100% of my video, all I have to do is enter your email here, and then I'll actually get that in the CRM.
Wow.
And that's powerful. So knowing what percentage of the video that people watched, if they watched it, if they did not watch it, if they clicked on your call to action, if they responded, any stuff like that, you can do directly like this. It also happens automatically. It's just not going to have the person's name in it. So data is a whole big part of Dubb. And I'll sort of end there in terms of what the data looks like, because the data is where I think it's the most fun, to see people watching your videos, to see people consuming your content, clicking, engaging, so on and so forth. So a big part of Dubb actually is, if you click on the reporting, it's going to be a lot of this jazz right here.
And when you
Here's
say CRM, you were meaning Dubb, right? Not an integration with something else. It's Dubb itself.
Well, actually, both. Yeah, both.
Both? Okay.
Yeah. So if we integrate, but then we also have that functionality, which is an extremely new thing.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, man. So that's kind of Dubb in a bag, if you will, or Dubb in a nutshell.
Love it. I want to get started and play with it, and probably do a webinar on it and bring people and teach them how to make more money by leveraging Dubb. So
Yeah.
I fair try, and I can see myself collecting these testimonials. I think that you underestimate me. It's not going to take me 3 months to get the testimonials. I think it's going to take me a week.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome.
Honestly, like, I am so annoying. I'm going to go and grab those people that I delivered so much value to.
Yes.
I know who they are. So give me my testimonial, because you've promised it to me like months ago, right?
Right.
So now I want a real testimonial for my website,
Nice. And then I think, since you mentioned that, I'll kind of show one more thing, which is, so let's say that you have a video of a testimonial now, right? And now what do you do with that video? That's the next question. Where do you share it? So with this video right here, for example, what I can do is, and this is another capability of Dubb, is I can actually embed this video onto my web space. So this is definitely compatible with Squarespace.
Oh my God.
Click on the share and send.
No way.
Take that video, click on the embed, and then you can, this is just like a YouTube embed, and then you can embed this right on your Squarespace page.
What?
Yeah, so this is the embed function. So, there's a lot of different ways to share video on Dubb. Copy for email, which you just copy this, you go into your email, you press Control V, it pastes it in there as an automated GIF. Let's see here. Direct email, we integrate with Gmail, so you can actually email someone directly right from Dubb. Social share, so you can share this video on social media. Embed, which is what I mentioned.
And then you basically take the code and you put it wherever you want on your website.
You can put it wherever you want, yeah. And then the widget, a widget is something that not a lot of people use. I wish more people use this, but a widget is just putting a video on one side of your web page. So this is a really good use case, which I'd love for you to test on one of your Squarespace pages, where it's just a video of you saying like, hey, thanks for stopping by. I'd love to have you check out this course. Here's some of the things that people are saying about this, and then maybe, of course, you cut in some testimonials. And that way, it's on the page. It's kind of a persistent video. You've probably seen those in the past, but also if people want to close it, they can.
I will be doing this because the webinars that I ran this past weekend, I had 35 people. They all loved it. So, I am giving them free. I love giving gifts at the end of the webinar. So I gave them the video and the deck for them to have to reference. So I already gave them something, so I can easily go back to them and ask them for a testimonial so that I can include it on my landing page where I will continue to sell that video without having to do the actual webinars live anymore. So yeah, for sure.
I think one of the best things for the we used to host a weekly webinar. In fact, we used to do it twice a week, and then we went to once a week, and now we stopped. We don't do webinars anymore. And I don't want to speak badly about webinars, especially at your ticket price because you have a very high ticket item. So it probably makes sense for you to have that type of webinar. But I do believe that all of us have to automate as much of that webinar process as possible. We have to pre-record the beginning of that webinar. If it's going to be something that we're doing the same thing anytime we're doing something over and over and over again, that's an opportunity to record the video.
Right.
So what I recommend is to have a pre-recorded, they call them like a hybrid live or like simulated live. I've heard people say that. Webinar Jam does that. Easy Webinar does that. It's a simulated environment where you have a live video that's for the first 15 minutes, and then the next 15 minutes is the dialogue. So it sounds like you already have some tech for this, but we always recommend that.
No, I love it. I am starting to think that my gears are already turning, how I can use Dubb for other things. I am automating, just so you know, I believe like you in automating as much as I can. So when someone reaches out to me on LinkedIn, let's say, I use my keyboard shortcuts on my phone, right? So instead of saying, hi, how are you? How can I help you? I type HH space bar, right? And that types the whole sentence. So
Nice.
for me, every single time I'm saying the same thing, I'm going to drive myself crazy when I'm answering hundreds of messages per day
Right.
saying, hi, how are you? How can I help you? It doesn't mean that I am less authentic. I actually care, but I just don't want to type it 100 times, right? So I just automate as much as I can. So I can see myself using this for sure.
Yeah, I think another thing that we recommend to people is that as you're gaining questions from people, to understand that if you get and you know this, I know it, if you get a question from someone, you're going to get that question again and again and again and again. And if you find yourself repeating the answering of that question, I believe you're not respecting your time, and that your time is much better spent doing something. So, what we have done is we have gone onto YouTube, along with many other places, but we have created support videos for every single question that we've ever received. It goes on and
No,
on and on and on. This can just keep scrolling. There are so many support videos, and each one of these videos, 11 views, 10 views. Some of them are not obviously very small views, but that's okay because these views are meaningful views. And typically what happens is someone might watch this and say, oh, well, that's how you import my context, or that's how you use automation.
right.
And then they'll subscribe, they'll become a subscriber. So, this is, classic, original content, content marketing extraction,
Honestly.
sample videos. And then, of course, our sample videos fuel our support channel. So, give me a question that you might have on Dubb. Just throw something at me. I love this test.
How do I import 70,000 email addresses?
Okay, so import contacts, right? So, the first couple of articles are going to teach you how to do that. How to manage contacts is going to do it. Import a CSV file. All that stuff is going to help you to do that. So now instead of you having to send us a message and we have a call like this, you can self-serve. And that when we do have a conversation, it's more meaningful and it's more specific, and we're going to provide something that is really awesome for you. We're all about that. So
Yeah. This was awesome. I really appreciate it.
yeah, this was awesome. I really appreciate your time, and let's keep the conversation going. Thanks so much for your interest in Dubb, and we look forward to succeeding with you.
Likewise. Thank you for having me, and thanks to everyone who's watching. Appreciate it.
Ciao.
Ciao.